If I didn't have nobody, I knew I had my books to be there for me. And if I needed to know things, if I needed to dive deeper into things, I could just always go to my books and always find that place of peace. Welcome back to another episode of the Walking Towards Light podcast. I am your one and only guest, Walker Williams. And today we have a special episode. Probably going to be one of my favorite episodes, people. This is about my kids, my babies. Today is Take Your Kids to Work Day. These are my kids. These are the most important things in my life, my special book collection. The reason why I am majority of the man that I am, other than my parents, I love my parents. Thank you, parents. But the books really carved me into the spiritual lover, the spiritual seeker, the spiritual loving man that I am this day. So this is going to be, look, I'm going to do a top, probably, I don't know. I don't know how many books I'm going to do today. Actually, I really don't know how many books I would do today, but I would do my top books that changed my life. And I feel like these are the books that are really going to help you on your spiritual journey. It's going to help you, bring more clarity to your life, more just information, more ways to benefit you through spirituality, more techniques, more perspectives, more. And then also, like, I have some esoteric ones that I'm going to talk about too. Like, it's not just self-help. I got some ones that on the esoteric side because I like the esoteric shit. So before we get into it, I'm not going to go too long, but I want to talk about the importance, what I feel like the importance of reading is, and the importance of having books that you love and how game changing it can be for you. I feel like books is something that everybody should be diving into. Even if you might not be a fan of physical copy books, maybe audiobooks might be better for you. Or maybe I forgot what the thing called that you can take, the portable book thing that you can get. I can't think of the name of it. But whatever form of reading, I feel like we should all be reading, because I feel like if you're not reading now, and I feel like, or if you're just against reading in general, I just feel like you're not expanding your mind. Books help you expand the way you think about things, the way you see things. And I feel like if you're not reading no new information, it's just like you stuck in one way of looking at things, one frame of thinking that you just going to hold, and that one perception that you're going to hold about life. Having books that you love opens up so many just avenues and just thought patterns to where it makes you look at life differently and make you think differently. Even it don't have to be like my babies and be all self-help and be all spiritual and esoteric, but fictional books and whatever, fantasy books. I'm just saying, like, reading in general increases, I think really expands how you think. I think it expands your mind and your brain. And I feel like everybody should be doing some type of reading. Because for me, reading has been very crucial to my life, very crucial for my growth and just for my spiritual journey. It has taught me so much to where if I didn't have nobody, I knew I had my books to be there for me. And if I needed to know things, if I needed to dive deeper into things, I could just always go to my books and always find that place of peace within these books. I started my book journey probably when I was like 21-ish. Like I said, if you watch my previous podcast, I haven't read. I didn't read in high. Well, honestly, I'm gonna say this: I didn't take reading seriously until I read The Secret. Right? We're gonna get into that. But before then, I didn't read at all. Like I didn't care for reading. Only time I read anything was if it was for a assignment or if it's for a test or it's for a paper. That was the only time that I read anything. So I didn't go home and I didn't read. I'll probably be on a game or something like that. But man, I found that one book that I love. That's why I said, find what you love. I found The Secret and I realized that became the love of my life. So what I used to do was I used to go to Barnes and Noble. Before I started buying my own books, I used to just go to Barnes and Noble every day. And boom, I started just going up there and I could just find that as a way to get away from things and be able to just kind of just be able to fully dive into these different worlds and these different lifetimes. It's like every book that you read is like you're really putting yourself into that person's mind and perspective, and just you can just dive into that and just get lost in it and just have a good time, and you'll be able to take something from it and learn something from it, which is very important for you. Let me adjust my mic real quick, make sure y'all can hear me clearly. So yeah, I just had to go into that because it's important, y'all. Get y'all some books. Read just something. Read just something. But we're not going to take too long on the introduction. Let's get straight to the nitty-gritty. The first book that we're going to talk about that changed my life is The Power of Now. Right? You know, I think I spoke on this on one of my podcasts, but Eckhart Tolle, this is by Eckhart Tolle, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. This book is so powerful in many ways. Eckhart Tolle speaks a lot about just being present, being in the now, and how important it is that to be present, how important it is to be present, because that's all that we have. So this book right here, it taught me a lot about presence. I wasn't thinking about presence. I wasn't thinking about how the illusion of time and how we can get lost in that illusion of thinking in the future or getting lost in what happened in the past and suffering for those things. Eckhart Tolle was one of the people that brought that to my awareness, and I am very, very appreciative of your words, Eckhart Tolle. Thank you so much. One of my notables from this book that I highlighted was, he said, to be identified with your mind is to be trapped in time. The compulsion to live almost exclusively through memory and anticipation. This creates an endless preoccupation with past and future, and an unwillingness to honor and acknowledge the present moment and allow it to be. You feel that? You feel that? This is why you should get this book. This is probably going to be my number one recommended book. You know, like with your kids, you want to say you don't have no favorites because you love them all. This one might be my favorite. I'm not gonna lie to you. This might be my favorite. The second book that I would recommend you to read is The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I hope I pronounced your name right. Please, I hope I did. But this book was one of my, I would say, real deep spiritual books that I read. This was because I read The Secret, I read The Alchemist, but those are spiritual, those are self-help books, but this one is really intense. It's really one of those books where you like graduate from like law of attraction, and you graduate from, just a little basics with spirituality. You go to this one because this man, and it's written by him. So he take you through his whole life experience and what he learned from his yogis and what he learned by being a yogi. And it's a beautiful story of how he even took everything that he experienced in his journey. He was able to take his talents from doing everything in the East and come over here to the West in California. I was going to say Los Angeles, but in California, and to be able to spread the word here. This man is truly, truly amazing, and his knowledge and his actual experience is so like like beautiful. And when you talk about just expansive, feeling expanded after reading a book, this book right here will be the one that's a real game changer for you spiritually. Because the things that they're talking about, the mystics, the saints, the being an alchemist, what actually being an alchemist, and just the actual explanations of the things and the events that happen in this book. I really recommend this for you if you're trying to take your spirituality to the next level. This is one of the books that you don't read once. You read more than once. This is a book that you show to your kids when you get older, because I'm definitely will give this to my kids once I get older. So, yeah. One of my notables in this book happened to be one of the things that I highlighted in this book: to rise above the duality of creation and perceive the unity of the Creator was conceived of a man's highest goal. Those who cling to the cosmic illusion must accept its essential law of polarity: flow and ebb, rise and fall, day and night, pleasure and pain, good and evil, birth and death. The cyclic patterns assumes a certain anguishing monotony after man has gone through a few thousand human births. He begins then to cast a hopeful eye beyond the compulsions of Maya. And if you watched my Spiritual Awakening podcast, you would know what Maya is. Like I said, they speak a lot about that Maya over there in the eastern areas, which is a very good concept to learn, to know what that means, because that's a game changer. The third book I would recommend is The Untethered Soul. When I tell you, this is one of the books that I really sat with this book, because during this time, I remember when I was reading this book, I took a social media break, actually, and I really got to really be present with this book. And the things that he's talking about in this book is so beautiful. I just feel like he really hones in the spiritual essence of who you are, knowing who you are and knowing how to really maneuver. Once you understand your inner essence, then you can understand your outer essence. This guy right here, this book, it really helps you understand your soul. Truly, he really helps you break down the just how you can become free and how you shouldn't be stuck within this matrix. It really helps you understand that, there's more than your thoughts. There's more connections that you can make with yourself. I really appreciated this book. I feel like this is a good read for you to just be able to sit and just enjoy his words and enjoy the way he puts this information together for make you understand yourself more. One of my favorite parts in this book, he has said, and I would never really forget this part, because I remember I went to the park and I read this, and I remember reading this at the end. I had reached the end of this, but he says, your relationship with God is the same as your relationship with the sun. If you hid from the sun for years and then chose to come out your darkness, the sun would still be shining as if you never left. You don't need to apologize. You just pick your head up and look at the sun. It's the same way when you decide to turn toward God. You just do it. If instead you allow guilt and shame to interfere, that's just your ego blocking the divine force. You can't offend the divine one. Its very nature is light, love, compassion, protection, and giving. And you can't make it stop loving you. It's just like the sun. You can't make the sun stop shining on you. You can only choose not to look at it. The moment you look, you'll see it's there. And that was so powerful and beautifully written, because that's just a great analogy. The fourth book that I will be recommending, all right, this book right here, Ask and It's Given, by Esther and Jerry Hicks. This was one of the first books that I've read, probably about the fifth book in my collection around that time. But this is when I was still understanding law of attraction. I was still learning vibration. I was learning energy. This is I feel like it's one of the beginner books that you want to learn about how you're a vibrational being and how because it really speaks on these. They actually be able to channel somebody named Abraham. Now, I'm not gonna give you too much of this book because I want you to read it, but um, it's giving you information of how to attract things that you want and how you have to vibrationally become what you want to bring it into your experience. So I feel like this is a very good explanation book of how to really attract anything that you want. But you have to remember, you have to vibrationally become a match to that thing that you want to bring into your life. So this is a real good deep dive if you want to understand law of vibration, you want to understand how important we are and how much power that we have to be able to create our lives with our mind. I think this is a good starter book for you to read. I really enjoyed this book. I read this book from beginning to end. It's regarding your creation of your own life experience, there's really only one important question for you to ask. How can I bring myself into vibrational alignment with the desires that my experience has produced? Then it says, and the answer is simple. Pay attention to the way that you feel and deliberately choose thoughts about everything that feel good when you think of them. You know what I'm saying? See, I'm trying to tell you, they really help you break down of how to bring things into your life that you want, that is good for you, and that's is good for your experience. So definitely check that out. The fifth book that I would recommend to you guys and you ladies. I feel like I spoke about this book in a previous podcast of how important this book was for me. Dr. Joe Dispenza, I can't wait to. I'm putting this out there. I can't wait for you to be on my podcast. You will be on my podcast, and we'll be able to discuss this. But this book is very important because not only is he speaking about attracting things into your life, basically what I was speaking about with accent is given, but he give more of a scientific way of how attraction works and how you are able to align yourself to that future that you want. He gives you a scientific breakdown and the data to show of how that works. And you don't really necessarily get books like this to where it gives you the data breakdown. It gives you the experiments that happen and the data that came from it and how effective actually aligning yourself to your future that you want now and how it can work. And it's proven in this book. And I feel like you should definitely read this book because Dr. Joe Dispenza, man, he's definitely different with his teachings, and I feel like you should get this book. This will help you understand more of yourself too, and how of a vibrational being that you are. You gotta understand that everything that you're doing, you are vibrationally attracting into your life, and he helps you explain that more, and he helped me understand that. He even speak about what I spoke about in my podcast. I think I bring it up with this segment, but I was saying that about the how the atoms are 99.99 empty space. He has a section about that in this book about how you have to think about that and think about how you can attract because of that one of those breakdowns. So yeah, one of my favorite highlights that I got in this book, he said, you have to become pure consciousness. No body, no one, no thing, no where, in no time, and change your energy, the electromagnetic signal you are broadcasting, and then you will draw that future experience right to you, changing energy into matter. You will literally tune into the energy of a new future, and as you do so, the observer, the unified field, is observing you observe a new destiny, and then it endorses your creation. He's saying that when you reach that place of pure consciousness in a meditative state, basically, you are able to jump into that new self. But then you also have to feel that feeling. What I spoke on previously too. You have to feel that feeling of the thing that you want, and then you'll be able to attract it easier. The sixth book that I will recommend, the sixth book that I would recommend is The Alchemist. Y'all should have saw this coming, people. Like y'all should have saw this coming. Let me fix this mic. There we go. Y'all should have saw this coming a mile away, cause this is one of my favorite books. This was one of the first 3-4 books that I got. This was one of my books that I read at Barnes and Noble. Uh, and this is a little side note story, but this is how I started loving Coldplay, because I started loving Coldplay because every time I go and I read either The Power Now or this book at Barnes and Noble, they always have Coldplay playing in the background. So now the only music that I can listen to now while I'm reading with actual words is Coldplay, which is interesting. But let's get back to the subject. But this book is so beautiful. I feel like this book, out of all books, when it's talk about like an actual story, it relates to my story so much, and I will forever keep this book because, man, the journey of Santiago, man, it's a beautiful journey of a man who is finding his personal legend, didn't give up, and I talked about this on the previous podcast too, but didn't give up on his personal legend, which they call it in the book. He didn't give up on his dreams. He didn't let nothing stop him from chasing what he wanted. I don't want to spoil the book, but it's so many powerful lessons and so many enlightening and it's so many it's so many gems in this book actually, that I feel like you could just take with you while you chasing your dreams, or while you know trying to figure out your destiny, or on the road to your destiny, or you having road bumps in your destiny. This is the perfect book that I would recommend to anybody that's really chasing something and really have goals in life. This is what I would recommend. I don't even have to pull out my phone for a notable that I have in this book. My favorite quote of this book is, "When you want something, the universe conspires everything to make it happen." That's one of my favorite quotes from that. When you truly want something, the universe conspires everything to make it happen, basically. And that's one of the things I will forever remember from this book, because that's one of the best quotes out of this book. But also, even the one on the back is, "To realize one destiny is a person's only obligation." To realize your destiny. What are you here for? What are you doing in this lifetime? These are questions that you should be asking, people. That's what I'm asking. Well, I found out, actually. The seventh book that I would recommend to the collective is Don't Take Your Life Personally by Ajahn Sameto. I hope I pronounced your name right. And if I didn't, somebody let me know. I hope I did, though. This was a very important book for me, too, on my journey. I think reading this book helped me not take my life so seriously. But for real, though, it actually helped me he speaks a lot about just being in the what is, not getting sidetracked or not focusing on what things could be or how things could be or what could have been, right? It's just focus on what is. Like, this is the situation, is basically helping you embrace that situation. And also just he speaks about a lot of Buddha principles in this book. So if you want to learn more about the Buddha principles and a different way of breaking down Buddhism, this helps you and gives you a lot of insight on Buddhism, but also just in his way, in his fashion. And it's beautiful because I learned a lot through his perspective and the way he saw it. Which is good, because also when you reading things about Buddhism and stuff like that, it's good to read different perspectives, because people going to see things differently and have different ways of expressing it. So this was a very enjoyable read. It taught me a lot to just really be focused. Another way to just be present, not getting lost into just dreamy things, into the imagination of things, and also just being present of what is, embracing the pain, embracing it, really allowing it to happen, and letting it flow through, or whatever the situation is that you are uncomfortable with. Embrace the what is. And he really speaks about that in his book. One of my notables from this book, one of my favorite things that I highlighted was, Allowing things to be what they are is the attitude I have found most helpful. Allowing my own mental states, the way I am on a personal level, my emotional habits, my personality, and any of its aspects, good or bad. This also allows me to accept other people for what they are. It is a question of starting from here. If I can't do it here, I won't be able to do it with others. Sometimes how we criticize others is really a reflection of how we look upon ourselves. And that is deep. That is very deep. The eighth book. Now, I couldn't go without speaking about the thing that even got me into spirituality. I spoke about this in my first podcast. I spoke about this in my spiritual awakening podcast. This book right here was the introduction to my spiritual journey. This what really started me. This is what really got me into just diving deep into all of the universe, just discoveries and universal secrets and universal just laws and everything. This book is very important because it teaches you how to attract things into your life. If you don't know law of attraction by now, this is the first book that you need to look to if you want to learn about law of attraction and how important it is to really benefit you in many different ways. If you want to attract money, if you want to attract relationships, if you want to attract health, if you want to attract just better experiences, this is the book for you. And then also it gives you a lot of different perspectives in this book. It's not just from Rhonda. This book is not just by Rhonda. It's also it has a lot of other speakers in this book, a lot of other beautiful minds in this book that's speaking about how law of attraction can be good for you, which is amazing. This was interesting because it's not just her writing it. It's other people's perspectives in this book as well. So many different spiritual teachers in this book that have so much knowledge that is waiting for you. So go get this book if you looking for law of attraction, or if you just want to learn more about just vibration and attraction and just how powerful that you can be just by using these steps of law of attraction. One of my favorite parts in this book is when Bob Proctor said this: "This is your life, and it's been waiting for you to discover it. Up until now, you may have been thinking that life is hard and struggle. And so by the law of attraction, you will have experienced life is hard and a struggle. Begin right now to shout to the universe, life is so easy. Life is so good. All good things come to me. There is a truth deep down inside of you that has been waiting for you to discover it. And the truth is, you deserve all good things life has to offer. You know that inherently because you feel awful when you are experiencing the lack of good things. All good things are your birthright. You are the creator of you. And the law of attraction is your magnificent tool to create whatever you want in your life. Welcome to the magic of life and the magnificence of you." I'm about to fall in love with this book all over again. I'm about to read it again, I'm telling you. I love books, man. I love books are so beautiful. Books are so inspiring. I think self-help books, spiritual books just really speaks to me so much. The ninth book that I would recommend is Be Here Now by Ram Dass. This book is so unique, probably the most unique book that I have in my book collection, because Ram Dass, I'm gonna get to that, but in this book, it's like inside Ram Dass' mind. Literally his philosophies, his discoveries in life, his experiences with his guru. He really breaks down just everything and a lot of things that he discovered in his life and his just wisdom. You get to really get a good gauge on wisdom and the way that it is demonstrated in this book. I mean, look at this. You won't have a book like this in your collection. Best believe, just with the art, the way that it looks on the inside, the demonstrations, it's so profound. And it's so beautiful because just the way Ram Dass be able to explain things and for you can feel it and be able to really feel his words in your heart. I really think that you should get this book, not only because of his words, but just even just the art that is depicted in this book, man. It's beautiful and it's so unique. Like you have to read it like this. Like it's literally like a pad. It's literally like a pad. And I truly enjoy reading every page of this book because it just keeps you wrapped in. Look at this. Beautiful, beautiful book. One of the notables that's in this book that really stuck out to me is when he said consciousness equals energy. Energy equals love. Love equals awareness. Light equals wisdom. Beauty equals truth. And truth equals purity. It's all the same trip. It's all the same. And any trip you want to take leads to the same place. The 10th book that I would recommend you to read immediately. All right, this is one of my favorite books. This is one of my favorite babies right here. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. All right. I hope I said the writers to the other ones. I hope I didn't forget. Sorry if I forgot to put it right there. I'll make sure that it's on the screen. I'll make sure that it's on the screen. But this book right here is just amazing. It's a guide to really take with you in life to make your life better. Speaking on the Four Agreements, we spoke about this in my previous podcast, one of my previous podcasts about the importance of Four Agreements and how it helped me see things better. To be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, always do your best. And after reading this book, it helped me see things in such a better light with just being aware of the things that I do in this lifetime and how I affect people. And I spoke about that in my Spiritual Awakening podcast. But this book was so important to me and so important to my journey. Because like I said, it opened up just different perspectives in my mind and how to maneuver differently in a lot of different ways. So I suggest that you read this book and learn these Totic wisdom, Four Agreements. One of my favorite things that he said in this was, we make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse. This is the biggest assumption that humans make. And this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others, because we think everyone would judge us, victimize us, abuse us, blame us as we do ourselves. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. That is the way the human mind works. And that is so true. Do we have some more? Do y'all want some more books? Because I can go all day on this. This is going to be the 11, and this is going to be the 12 books that I recommend you. And they kind of go together, basically. I would say both of these books right here, they kind of go hand in hand. But I would go with this is the 11th book, because I feel like this is the most important book to read. Especially once you start getting deeper into your spirituality journey. The Bhagavad Gita, an Indian spiritual classic. And it took me a while to actually read this book because I think a lot of people probably struggle with getting through this book at first. But I think once I really want to dive deep and I really want to put myself into another tradition and I really want to learn what the Bhagavad Gita was and how important it was and why is it such a classic to just the Indian tradition. And I really dove deep into this book, and it was so powerful. Just the journey and the story of this book of Aruna. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. But just his story on the battlefield against his family, and him wants to know why he was doing it, what was the purpose, and Krishna being there to be his guide and telling him why. and why it was meant for him to be on that battlefield, and why it is important for him to learn these aspects about life, for he can transcend these things. And the importance of different tools. I don't want to give it away, but the different tools that he used, that you can use to actually ascend this life. And okay, one of the things that stuck out to me in this book was when he said, the practice of meditation frees one from all affliction. This is the path of yoga. Follow it with determination and sustained enthusiasm, renouncing wholeheartedly all selfish desires and expectations. Use your will to control the senses. Little by little, through patience and repeated effort, the mind will become still in the self. When I tell you, this book really made me want to go deeper into my meditation, doing hour meditations every morning. Still working on meditation, because meditation is so much of a practice. But I'm telling you, it really inspired me. It really inspired me to go deeper within myself, to feel that self, because they always speak about, especially in the Bhagavad Gita and even in the Upanishads, of how much of that is the ultimate goal, is to reach the self, which is in everything. Basically, God, if you want me to say it in another way, or the universe, like, to really feel that. But you can only reach that through meditation. And that really inspired me. This book really inspired me to get closer to myself, get deeper into my meditations, and really grow in that aspect. Now, I'm going to say the 12th is the Upanishads. The Upanishads is written by the same guy. I cannot pronounce his name. But I would definitely have that on the screen. I will have it on the screen. Sorry, man. But this is another Indian classic right here called the Upanishads. And the Upanishads are basically just different mystics and people that are sitting down with a group of people, basically explaining them the ways of life in the universe and the things that you should do to be able to reach that goal. Like I said, they're very heavy on you to reaching that ultimate goal in life. And that's to get and reach the self, get back to the self, the ultimate, the always pervading, the pervading self in every single thing in this universe. To get back to that, it's the ultimate goal. And they have the Upanishads breaking this down, because every chapter will be a different Upanishad, basically dropping gems to a group of people. And it's so beautiful the way these people break it down to make you really feel like everything is really me, because they gonna make you lock in with yourself and everything around you. Best believe. One of the notables that's in this book that I highlighted was, as long as we think we are the ego, we feel attached and fall into sorrow. But realize that you are the self, the Lord of life, and you will be freed from sorrow. When you realize that you are the self, supreme source of light, supreme source of love, you transcend the duality of life and enter into the unitive state. And that's, man, that's what I'm telling you. But see, these are, I would recommend you get these books once you really, get to that place of understanding of your spiritual essence and just your spiritual place in this universe. This is one that I wouldn't recommend somebody on the first read. Once somebody that just start getting, into spirituality, I wouldn't recommend this. But once you get to that place, the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads is definitely a text that you want to dive into, because, man, it's life-changing gems in this book. Okay, now we have some honorable mentions. Now, this book right here is a book that I'm currently reading now. Okay, this is why it's not being spoken on right now, because I'm actually diving into this book right now. It's Spirit Hacking by Shaman Durek. I hope I pronounced your name right. But it's the shamanic keys to reclaim your personal power, transform yourself, and light up the world. I'm really in the introduction of this book, but right now I'm already loving it, because I never had a book that, from a shamanic point of view of spirituality. So just hearing his story and how he understood his powers and how he really adapted them and didn't run from them, and even breaking down his ancestors and the people that came before him, and how his grandmother had these shamanic powers, was a shaman as well. Yeah, I'm really locked in on this book for real. I ain't gonna lie. This book, I'm probably really finna be glued. You know, you have some books that you start reading and you'll read a little bit and then you kind of, start doing other stuff. But you'll have one book that you'll really be glued to once you start reading it. That's this book right here. If you want to know about shamans, if you want to know the life of a shaman, and what it means to be a shaman and different types of shamans, I would say get this book. And I'm not even finished with it, but I'm loving it already. Then you got Jay Shetty. You know what I'm saying? You got to think like a monk. This book, I read this book all the way through. This is a great, great book. And this wasn't even what I planned before this video to talk about. But I love this book to think about because he was also a monk for a while. I think, 2 years, 2 to 3 years. And he spoke on his experience and everything that he learned in this book. And if you want to know what it was like to be a monk and the lessons that Jay Shetty learned from being a monk and how you can add that to your life, I think you should definitely do that. I would probably have a notable in this, but I didn't plan on this. But definitely check this book out for sure. We can go all day. Man. That's gonna probably do it right there. Yep. Well, people, those are my top 12 books that changed my life. I really hope that y'all enjoyed this podcast. It's really straightforward, straight to the point. I love books with all of my life. Books are everything to me. One of my favorite things to do is to read, and I hope this can impact you to read more or to find your category of books to read, or I hope this inspired you to want to read more spiritual and self-help books, because this is for my spiritual and self-help people. But if you here just want to and you just love books, I hope you can still take a book from it or still get an idea of what type of books that you want to read, or you're just not a reader. I hope this inspired you to read more, because you have to expand your mind, and you have to expand your brain, and you have to expand your vocabulary. It's very important to continue to grow and not be stagnant. I'm telling you, your life will change once you grow and you learn more. I promise you. Yeah, but leave your favorite books down below. I would love to see your favorite books, because I know I have a problem. My only addiction is buying books. I will buy books. I'll buy a new book quick. So leave your book recommendations down below. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. I'm very grateful for every one of my supporters. We on this journey. We growing. My YouTube channel is on the way up, and I'm really appreciative of y'all being here for me and on this journey. I want this place to be a good sacred place that we can all be at, and we can just have a good time, and we can talk about growth, information, just expanding our consciousness, getting a little bit of laughter, getting some smiles and stuff like that. So make sure y'all doing all that. Share it to your people, share it to your family, share it to your loved ones. Let's get this word out. Let's get this energy out, people, because the world needs it. So that's about it, y'all. This is episode 6. We at episode 6 now. This is crazy. We getting on up. We gonna get to episode 10. Best believe. We're all on this journey back to the eternal light. Make sure you love yourself. Make sure you read more books. Make sure you be your best self. Continue to grow. Continue to love others and be compassionate. And do whatever you can to keep expanding your consciousness, people. Do whatever you need to do to keep do whatever you can to keep expanding your consciousness and causing ripples for the collective. And I appreciate y'all. See y'all next week. It's been an amazing episode talking about my babies. And I'm out.